Welcome back, you bloodthirsty sweethearts. I thought I'd give you a trip back through history to one of my favorite wars, World War I. A war so nice, we did it twice. And to celebrate that industrial meat grinder, I thought we'd talk about Henry Johnson and the Harlem Hellfighters. It's gonna be a stabby ride. So, by the time the United States entered World War I in 1917, the Allies, particularly the French Army, were so depleted of manpower that they viewed the newcomer Americans less as an independent expeditionary force and more of a shipment of cannon fodder. But American Army leadership refused to get swallowed up by their European allies. They knew the enormous losses that plagued the French and British campaigns. Besides, they wanted to show off the American capacity for ultra-violence. Sorry, I get a little overwhelmed. That said, Pershing was under a lot of pressure to play nice with the French. He had to give them something, anything that was combat ready. So, he decided to loan them a unit. That unit would be the 369th Infantry Regiment, known to us as the Harlem Hellfighters, a name given to them by the Germans. It was an all-black unit, and like all black units at the time, they were given support roles, labor and such, as black soldiers were considered inferior to their white counterparts. They were given French equipment and thrown into the fire. They needed reinforcements and didn't give a damn what color they were. Some interesting stats: the Hellfighters made less than 1% of American troops in Europe, but held up to 20% of the assigned territory. They served over 6 continuous months, more than anyone in the U.S. forces, and suffered 1,300 casualties, the most of any U.S. Army regiment. The French government would award the Croix de Guerre. Is that right? The Croix de Guerre? The Crow. Yeah, right. So let's talk about Johnson. He would go on to perform some of the ballsiest battlefield ball busting in history of ballhood. That's a lot of balls. On May 14th, he and Private Needham Roberts were on guard duty. The two came under sniper fire from German snipers and were pinned down. Anticipating a raid, they prepped their dugout and grenades and waited. Around 0200, Johnson heard the sound of wire cutters on the perimeter fence. Then, Johnson threw a grenade, and all hell broke out as the Germans responded with grenades and rifles. Roberts turned to help Johnson, but was chewed up by grenade shrapnel and was severely wounded. Johnson dragged Roberts back into the dugout just in time to realize they were under attack by 20 to 30 Germans, advancing from multiple directions. The Germans were on top of him at this point. You usually say, "Shit, game over, man!" But Johnson wasn't about to ditch Roberts and run. He used the damn rifle as a club until the stock splintered. He then took a blow to the head that stunned him. Assuming Johnson was dead or disabled, the Germans attempted to capture Roberts. Johnson wasn't dead. He got his ass back up and started stabbing Germans. Bolo knife. His remaining weapon, stabbed a German, killed a lieutenant, got shot in the arm with a pistol, and then stabbed another German who climbed on his back. By this point, the Germans decided to call it a day and break contact since the racket had alerted the French. Johnson reportedly killed 4 Germans. Johnson reportedly killed 4 Germans, wounded over 2 dozen, while sustaining 21 wounds. He would say, "There wasn't anything so fine about it. Just fought for my life." A rabbit would have done that. Johnson and the rest of the Hellfighters would blaze a trail of glory through the Western Front. As I said, they served 191 days under fire. That's nuts by World War I standards, or any war since. The legacy they earned on the battlefield was far too big to ignore. This is how the tide began to turn against the racial policies that shamefully polluted our American armed forces all the way back to Korea and arguably beyond. And for that, we salute you, Henry Johnson and the Harlem Hellfighters. Well, there you have it, folks. I'm going to get hammered at a dive bar and continue evading Juan and the IRS. Because Mama said taxes are the devil. Until next time, sleep tight and stack bodies.
Stabby stat.